Ralph from MicroJig, here today with a tip for helping you get the most from your FitFinder lock miter bit. Now you may have noticed when using our bit, or any lock miter bit, that when you're running the part horizontal on the table for the first half of the cut, it's pretty easy and it cuts reasonably well, especially in a nice wood like poplar. But as soon as you take that same wood with the same bit and the same setup, and you rotate it to the vertical half of the cut, it doesn't seem to cut as easily. It seems harder. It doesn't just seem, it actually is, and that's because of the grain. So with a common cut board like this one, the grain is running more or less side to side, so when you're doing that horizontal cut, the grain is being cut along the grain lines. But as soon as you rotate the board, now the grain is going perpendicular to the router bit, and now the cut is across the grain lines, not with them, and so it does make it a little bit more difficult. But we've got a solution for this. And that is our router table pressure jig. Now, this is a piece that the plans are on our website and have been for quite some time, but it's really particularly useful in this application. The pressure jig is built up of strips of wood with blocks in between that allow for a certain amount of compression. It's a spring, and it can be used to hold your parts tight against the fence, like a featherboard, but with better contact and more application of force. So let me show you how it works. As we said, the first cut is relatively easy because the cutter is working with the grain in a standard pattern. You don't need the pressure jig for this particular cut. Our pressure jig is inexpensive to make and attaches quickly and easily to your router table using a pair of our dovetail clamps. And you can adjust the pressure to exactly the setting you want. With the vertical cut, the router bit is cutting across the grain, not with the grain, and it is going to be a more difficult cut. The pressure jig helps keep the part tight against the fence and keeps from chattering as the cut is being made, improving the quality of your cut. And now, as we assemble the pieces for our box, you can clearly see that on the horizontal parts, the tongue and groove are aligned with the grain. On the vertical parts, the tongue and groove are aligned away from the grain. And that's the difference in the two cuts. But with our pressure jig, we get a marvelous fit every single time. The pressure jig plans are free on our website, so you can build your own and get started using it right away.